In part 1 of our Project Suzuki Z400 cross-country racer build, we improved our 2009 Z400 with products from Yoshimura, GT Thunder, Racing, OMF, GPC, Durablue, Fast Company, and Spider grips. Now, with all the players in place, it's time to take our faster, better handling, and more durable Z400 out to put it to the test. With our Project Suzuki Z400 completed, we headed off to a private testing facility in northern Kentucky to put our new race machine to the test. Since we were testing on private lands with plenty of green foliage, we pulled the spark arrestor from the Yoshimura RS2 exhaust, making sure we got to experience its full power potential. Cruising back to the main loop, you couldn't help but notice the deep, throaty yet non-offensive sound emitted by the Yoshimura exhaust. Yoshimura systems seem to emit a lower frequency tone that is much easier on the ears than some of the other aftermarket exhaust systems we've tried. The power output of our modified Z is very similar to stock with a few differences. There is noticeably more power at all levels of the RPM range, and you almost never hit the rev limiter thanks to the higher rev limit provided by the Yoshimura PIM2 Fuel Manager. Our Z pulled harder off the bottom, making it even easier to ride in technical situations than the stock Z. The Yoshi-equipped machine pulls seamlessly into the mid-range, enjoying a significant boost in power. Power is delivered very smoothly in a way that makes the most of available traction. On fast trails where pilots on stock 400s are blubbering on the rev limiter and looking for the next gear, our Yoshimura outfitted Z is still building power. It doesn't build RPMs quite as fast as a 450, but it is considerably smoother and less fatiguing to ride. While it might not beat a 450 in the fields, there is enough tractable power on tap to make up time in the technical stuff. Thanks to Yoshimura, our machine would easily stomp a mud hole in any stock 400cc or below machine, and could now hang with the big bores in the tight stuff. For dedicated cross-country racing, the Z stock suspension is simply too stiff. The HLS shocks and GT Thunder linkage greatly enhanced our machine's ability to float through the rough stuff and make the most of its additional power. The biggest improvement in the performance of the HLS shocks over stock is their absorption of roots, rocks, and other small bumps. During a 2-hour GNCC race, the constant jarring from these kinds of obstacles quickly tire you out with stiff stock suspension. With the HLS shocks installed, our Z floated over jarring small hits and other trail clutter. We also got some impressive air with our HLS shocks with relatively good results. We hit a creek jump followed up by a pretty large uphill jump, and the HLS shocks responded admirably, providing a cushy landing. We were only treated to a harsh bottoming from the rear shock on one particular creek jump with an uphill landing. This was the only place we noticed the rear shock bottoming out, and as they say, if you aren't bottoming your suspension at least once per lap, you aren't making the most of its available travel. Overall, the HLS shocks were far superior to stock when it came to bump absorption. With their softer settings, we did notice some additional front-end body roll. However, the machine's lower ride height combined with its lower profile GPC tires made the Z more stable through the turns. With our machine's enhanced power, we were grateful for the additional traction provided by the GBC RaceRex tires. During our test, we had the opportunity to try these tires on dry hard-packed dirt, freshly tilled soil, and on wet, slick, hard-packed trails. Forward drive was very good in all conditions, and we were impressed with the tire's predictability in the corners. We were especially impressed with its cornering on hard, slick turns, where we could easily transfer from braking to a controlled slide and back to straight-line acceleration without the fear of spinning out. The RaceRex front tire steered lightly and seemed to enhance cornering accuracy, although we did notice a tendency for the front end to push when traction conditions were less than ideal, something we also noticed with a stock machine. The Z's front end is rather light under acceleration and could use a slightly longer swing arm for less weight transfer while on the gas, so the RaceRex tires are not to blame. If anything, they make steering a bit more predictable. The GBC RaceRex tires are lighter than their X-Rex siblings in spite of their 6-ply rating, making them a good match for our machine's 400cc displacement. It's tough to truly embellish the benefits of the OMF wheels and DuraBlue Eliminator axle, as they can't be fully appreciated unless you make a mistake. Constantly bouncing off ruts, rocks, and trees will quickly take their toll on non-reinforced wheels and soft stock axles. With tire balls installed, which are used by a majority of the competitors in cross-country racing, you can get away with running non-beadlock wheels to save weight. Our reinforced OMF wheels save 12 pounds over a set of beadlocks and are extremely strong. The DuraBlue Eliminator axle stayed straight and true, despite our landing a bit crossed up and pushing the rear shock to its limits. In our previous long-term experience, Eliminator axles have proven to remain strong far longer than stock. Many cross-country racers like to run the softest elastomers possible in their flex handlebars, allowing them to eat up small stuff that gets past their suspension. With our HLS shocks taking care of the small hits, we decided to run the harder, stock red elastomers in our flex handlebars, keeping them rigid for the most part, but allowing them to come into play on larger hits. Our test rider Dave Trimble felt this setup worked best for him, but the option is there to run the bars considerably softer if you prefer it. Dave normally uses spider grips, so we felt right at home with the A3s installed. These grips provide a soft contact point for your hands and are long-lasting. What more can you ask for from a grip? The Performance ProPeg Nerf bars provided a comfortable, solid platform. Utilizing both the stock foot pegs and additional stainless steel outer peg, the Nerfs provide plenty of traction. While the heel guard area looks cramped, Dave felt that they offered just enough room as his heel never became hung up. The additional handholds provided by the Racing front bumper and cross-country grab bar would be greatly appreciated in the event that you became stuck in a bottomless mud hole. And the front bumper's mud screen would be a big benefit in a mud race, helping to keep muck out of your radiator. The skid plates held up well to our abuse, but we found that the tube that reinforces the bottom of the rear skid plate is susceptible to snagging sticks. However, snagging a stick is far less impeding than bending your rear skid plate up into your sprocket or rear brake rotor. The products seem to get the job done well and cost considerably less than many of their competitors on the market. In the end, we were extremely impressed with the overall results yielded by this build. Its combination of usable power, plush suspension, improved durability, and reasonable cost to purchase make this Z project ideal for the 400 class competitor, or even those looking to compete in more beginner-friendly 450 classes. Individually, these products all improved our Suzuki Z400, but together they turned it into a capable race machine.